comes to babies and sleep habits, it seems there are as many methods as there are babies, and plenty of theories too, like, see if these sound familiar. Rice cereal will help my baby sleep through the night, or co-sleeping will strengthen our bond. Well, my next guest is here to separate fact from fiction. Marietta is a marriage and family therapist and a professional sleep consultant. She says most moms are guilty of telling themselves a few white lies surrounding babies and their sleep schedules. It's great to have you. I know a lot of moms in the green room were saying they were particularly excited about this conversation. It taps, I think, into every mom's frustration at one time or the other. I do want to say up front, this isn't about guilting or the blame game, because here are these sleep-deprived moms just grasping at any solution or any logic they can wrap their minds about. And you're a mom, you've been there.
Oh yeah, I've believed many of these lies with my own children, and the biggest problem with believing them is that it doesn't actually help sleep. So I just am here to help moms sleep and babies sleep better.
Okay, you're gonna pop through some common sleep lies and explain why they aren't true. Some of this research-based, some of this from your own experience and opinion. First, it's normal. This is lie number one. It's normal for my 12-month, 18-month, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, etc. to not be sleeping through the night. What's the truth there?
So babies by 9 months old should be sleeping through the night. A lot of babies can do it earlier, but 9 months is kind of developmentally, physically, that's kind of when they can do it.
9 months is the mark.
And I see this myth come up a lot when you have a baby that's not sleeping, and a lot of parents will say, don't worry, mine's not sleeping, it's, you know, it's fine. And I can understand them wanting to say what's normal and what's not normal and give the parent some hope, but then I just worry, are parents being sleep deprived, not getting enough sleep, and children too, when they really could be getting the sleep they need?
When the options on the table. I'm glad to hear you put the mark where it is, because I know a lot of, I mean, you will see a baby now and then, you hear about a baby, some random fantasy baby that sleeps at 3 months old through the night, and that's wonderful, but that's not the norm either. That's not to be expected.
No, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, a lot of people sell stuff based off of, you know, 12 hours and 12 weeks. Like, no, some babies will, but not every baby. So it's not a good expectation to have for ourselves.
And what we know from the research is it's natural, it's normal, even healthy for babies to be getting up through the night up until a certain age, like you pointed out. All right, the next myth is about co-sleeping, that co-sleeping creates a strong attachment.
Yeah, so this one is tricky. Attachment is a very complex issue, so by no means are we going to dive into that and talk about everything that it is or isn't. But what I do know about attachment is that it cannot be broken or made by one habit or one thing that we're doing. So co-sleeping is not the end-all in your attachment. And honestly, one of the important things that I've seen in attachment is the ability to let your kids do stuff on their own, figure it out on their own, and then to be there as a parent, supporting them, encouraging them, and then even times not being there for them, but then coming back in and repairing any damage that has been done with them. That's essential to a good attachment. And so not letting your child cry or never letting them experience distress because you're always there with them can actually create an insecure attachment.
So definitely a balance to be considered there.
Yes. Not to say co-sleeping is bad. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But just that it's not the end all for the only way that we can get a good attachment with our child.
And because I know we'll get emails, the National Association of Pediatrics does emphasize for safety. It's best for a child to be in a crib, but certainly people have their opinions and their ways, and we acknowledge those as well. It's common for moms to tell themselves it's just a phase. We hear that a lot, right? It's just a phase. My child isn't sleeping, my child isn't napping, it's just a phase. What's your response to that?
Yeah, this one actually came from a client of mine. She said, it's just a phase, the longest phase of my life. So sometimes kids can outgrow like sleep regressions or sleep problems, and I always say 2 weeks. If they're gonna change, if they're gonna outgrow it, if it's gonna get better, give yourself 2 weeks. If it's not better in 2 weeks, then you might want to do some intervention to help it get better. You're just helping them sleep better. That's all you're doing.
So what are some phases, though, that are acceptable, that you would deem, okay, they're growing or they're teething? I mean, there are certain phases that will interrupt a sleep pattern.
Yeah, so there's sleep regressions all the time, like the 4-month sleep regression. Excuse me.
There it is.
The 4-month sleep regression, the 6-month, the 8-month, the 10-month, the 18-month.
Are those real?
Those are all real. And really, a regression can happen at any time. It just means there's something disrupting my child's sleep. So it can happen at developmental milestones. It can happen with big changes in their life. Anything can cause a regression, and that's just fine. The biggest thing they need is consistency. And then If they can outgrow it in 2 weeks, they will, and if not, then there are some interventions that you can do to help.
I mentioned the teething. You say a lie is that my baby is a bad sleeper because he's constantly teething, but can't that also be the case? If teeth are coming in on their own schedule and gosh darn it, they don't line up with nap time?
Right, and every parent, myself included, is gonna say, no, that's not true. My child does not sleep good when they're teething. And all I can tell you is that the research says that sleep is only disrupted by teething 1 to 2 days. So when that tooth is poking through, like the act of poking through, and that lasts 1 to 2 days. Otherwise, it really doesn't disrupt their sleep. That's what the research is telling us. So I'm the mom over here that still wants to believe that lie.
Holding to it.
Right? Like,
yeah.
no, tell me this is why. And really, it's not true, and so it's okay, well, what can I do? If that's not the case, then what is going on and how can I help them?
And then perhaps it goes back to that previous recommendation to give it 2 weeks. I think that's a great rule of thumb. Give it 2 weeks to see how that's playing out.
Yeah.
And if the teeth still haven't come, then it might be time to address another solution. Yeah,
exactly.
For your sanity too. You say moms often blame bad sleep on a baby's diet. Like, for example, we hear rice cereal. If I introduce rice cereal at a certain point, then my child will be able to sleep through the night.
Oh yeah, and guilty of this one as well. I mean, I was desperate for sleep with my twins, and I tried a lot of these lies myself, and it didn't work. And you know, one of the reasons that these lies gets passed down is parent to parent is saying, oh, I tried this and it worked. And it might have worked for one person, but it doesn't work across the board.
It's not the blanket solution.
And again, there's research to support this as well, saying that rice cereal won't help a baby sleep longer.
Is there a correlation though between intake calories? Like, you hear people say, gosh, my baby hits a certain number of feedings, right? Or if they get their calories for the day, not necessarily the rice cereal, but is there a correlation between diet and sleeping?
Absolutely. So if a child is getting most of their calories at night, they're going to continue to wake at night to eat. And so what you need to do is shift when they're getting their calories. If we can get their calories and their food to them during the day, if they can get used to that, then they won't need them as much as night. Now, I'm not talking about newborns here. Newborns need to eat throughout the night.
Yes.
But again, you want that balance of what's actually appropriate and then shifting to the day when they can.
Speaking of newborns and eating, we were chatting during the commercial break. You say a lot of times from your clients, you'll hear that, oh, I don't want to nurse my newborn to sleep because I don't want to create that bad sleep habit. They will require, right, the breast or the bottle to fall asleep. What's the research, or what's your opinion on that?
So from 0 to 4 months, babies don't have the ability to self-soothe. And so you actually want to be doing these things to help them soothe and help them sleep. Nursing, rocking, swings, you name it, right? Binkies, like all of those things will help a newborn sleep. And it's not going to create a bad habit. It's something that they'll be, when they are capable of, they can learn to soothe and fall asleep on their own after 4 months of age.
Here's the big takeaway. Moms should not feel guilty based on how their baby is or is not sleeping.
No, absolutely not. The key factor that I always tell my clients is, are you happy? Is it working for you? Great. When it's not working, let's talk so we can fix that.
How can people get in touch with you if they have more questions?
Yeah, so check out my website, www.littledreamers.us. You can subscribe to my newsletter and get access to my free newborn survival sleep guide. And then I'm also doing a free Q&A in Harriman, Utah on Thursday morning. So you can find that information on Facebook and on my website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really helpful.
Thanks.